It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I had the pleasure of meeting Anna Villa-Badger, who is the founder and president of Marble Jam. Through connections, ladies and the gentlemen who listen to her success story, I often talk about the building of relationships and how we meet people through connections that last a lifetime. When Anna and I were connected, I knew I really wanted to have her on her success story because there's pieces of our backgrounds and our passions that align. So sharing a little bit about Anna, she's a former dancer. She has a foundation in dance and psychology. She had the journey from the international and Broadway dancing career. I know you're involved in Jerome Robbins to form this nonprofit that illustrates the trajectory shaped by a commitment of artistic impression and how that helps serve our special needs communities and all of our communities and the impact that makes. So Anna, thank you for joining me today on Her Success Story.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a great opportunity and I appreciate you. Thank you.
So where did the beginning of Marble Jam come about? How did this start? Which, sometimes I say, what came first, the chicken or the egg? So what was the beginning of Marble Jam for you?
Okay.
How did this start?
So interestingly enough, the word marble jam, everyone asks me, where did you find that word marble jam? And early on in my career, I had some opportunities to be a creative producer, and I was working on creating a children's television show called Marble Jam. And the first letter of the letters that spell Marble Jam are actually the names of the characters: Maylee, Amy Louise, Romeo, Bruno, Larissa, Ernest, and Triple J Jam. So when I created this project, like in the 90s, and it was going to be like an early morning children's television show, which was very musical and all of that. And then the dot-com bust happened and I lost the financing.
Yeah, the dot-com bust.
Remember the dot-com bust? So I had the financing to put it on, but then that happened. I lost the financing and I was 9 months pregnant at the time. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to set this aside and be a mom.
Right.
So gave birth, all good, but my daughter, around the age of 2, she wasn't hitting milestones. And if you're a mom and you understand what that means, it means there was no interactive play, no reciprocal play, no, mommy, I want this, no indication of wants and needs. And she was evaluated as being on the autism spectrum.
Okay.
So that sort of started my journey into the special needs realm. And having been an artist and a creator, I did start to notice that as she was getting older, she really didn't have opportunities after school like a lot of other kids did. So I started searching for after school programs and there just weren't any. So I was like, well, maybe I can use the creative arts therapies as a way into creating something that is really a very mindful program, right? More directive oriented for social skills, to use the arts as sort of an equalizer, right? And then I got a couple of my girlfriends together that had their kids in the same program. And I said, I have this idea. Why don't we create this program, the social creative arts therapy program for children with autism that incorporates art, music, and movement in a round-robin program. They were like, great, we're all in.
We're in. Now what do we do?
So I was like, well, I have this name Marble Jam, and I think it might work, Marble Jam Kids, and they loved it. So we repurposed the name Marble Jam Kids to this program. Okay. Since I had it anyway, and it was all done. So we repurposed the name, and then I found one of the most premier creative arts therapists in on the planet. Her name is Dr. Susie Tortora. Look her up.
Okay.
She's amazing. She has a practice in New York and in Cold Spring. And I literally was like, okay, this is the idea. We need somebody that's going to give it credibility. And we really want to go about this the right way. And she's like, I'm all in. It's a great idea. I work with this population. So let's go for it. And from there, it was establishing the nonprofit, getting the board together, raising the money, right, to start up. And then we had a
And
pilot
so I don't want to
program.
just
Yeah,
I don't want to gloss over this
yeah,
so quickly because there's a lot of strategy and effort about getting a board together for a nonprofit.
correct.
There's a whole nother piece about raising capital to get started. How did your past experience lead to knowledge in this area, or what resources did you use to gain knowledge in this area?
Well, when you're an actor, dancer, and you're in the circuit, you are the entrepreneur and you are the business, right? It's you. No one's going to tell you that you have to get your acting and your dancing classes together and that you got to get your agent and that you're going to this audition. So I think all actors and dancers have an entrepreneurial point of view to begin with,
Good
right?
point.
We're self starters. We know
Yes,
where we
it's
need to be.
self-start as you take initiative.
You are the product. So I kind of had that idea. And then having so much experience in the theater, I really sort of imagined that we would have a center that would have the cast, the crew, right? It's the
Yeah,
same model, it's a business model. You have your cast, your crew, you've got your content, right? Whether it's music or script or choreography.
right.
So it was the same model. And having had experience in producing, I produced, creative content for Becton Dickinson and, other pharmaceutical companies for their super shows. I had an idea of how to write a proposal, how to put the structure together. And then I just learned from people that knew so much more than me. Like I was a novice in this, self-admitted novice, needed help. And I think the most important thing when you're going into a new venture is to empower others to want to help you.
Right.
That's the strategy. I know nothing and I need you to help me so we can help them.
So how long has this iteration of Marble Jam been around now?
Okay, so starting with one signature program, we now have a 6,000 square foot facility
Wow.
with about 16 programs, including private creative arts therapies, art therapy, music therapy, drama therapy, as well as a drama troupe. It's like a musical troupe. It's actually one of the only established theater groups for adults with disabilities in New Jersey. And they rehearse every week. We have a digital arts program, which includes a film program and practicum to support our students to becoming real filmmakers and really understanding what that means. What are your roles, responsibilities? What is the technology? And we use a very adaptive approach. So over the years, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And then we kept getting more space and more space and more space. And now it's the staff of 27 professionals.
Wow.
Yeah, we're state authorized providers. So that means if a child has or an adult has entitlements through Medicaid,
Okay.
that covers the cost of the service. And we also take obviously private clients as well if they don't. And we have charitable care foundations. So we try to help everyone so that they can participate. That's the whole idea, is to bring them in, experience the arts, create a safety net of support so that they can make friends, feel comfortable here so that they're successful out there. And it's all done through
So
the arts.
so I,
Yeah.
I want to ask about what you've seen. We call them clients?
Clients, students, I would say if they're, we can call them clients basically, or participants is also,
Participants. I like participants.
yeah.
To your participants, what are some of the outcomes and the results you have seen by them participating in this program
Mm.
or in this programming?
Well, I'll tell you with the younger, we'll start with the younger ones first that participate in the Social Cats autism program. We see easier transitions, more flexibility, more communication and interest in peers,
There you
right?
go.
There's a lot of sensory issues with young children on the spectrum. So we see the sensory issues start to dissipate. And usually that happens within like the sixth week of the program. And we not everyone hits that mark. And for some it takes more time. But establishing a foundation of trust with a therapeutic model, that is key to seeing our participants become successful in engaging with others. And they don't need to be verbal. You know, there's a lot of nonverbal communication, and there are a lot of tools that we use so that they can communicate their wants and their needs and their desires. So that's super exciting.
I want to jump in here for a second. Nonverbal communication is one of the strongest forms of communication, stronger than verbal communication. What we say often with the rest of ourselves has a bigger impact than what we say by word when we teach communication skills. So when we think about people who do not have strong verbal communication skills,
Mhm.
it's leading into the other senses there.
Yes. And all of our staff are trained to be able to access the nonverbal communication. And we use an approach here. Not only do we use Susie's approach, which is the ways of seeing, where the instructor or the therapist really taps into imagining how that other person feels, right? And they can tap into that. But also, there's body language, there's this sensory behavioral model that they're displaying that we know and understand. Okay, we've gotten to know that kid. We know that when he does that movement, it means he's getting stressed. Or so we'll just say, "Do you need a break? Let's take a walk." So it's not like you have to participate or you know,
It's so interesting you say that, Anna, because so often when we're talking with women leaders, when I'm talking with my own clients on a regular basis, men and women, I'll say, when you're feeling that stress or that overwhelm, go out and walk around the block. And it's people are people. It's we all need to be aware and notice our own triggers and times. Then we all need a break. Business, life, there's so much on our plates in this world today. And to have for anyone somebody to help them realize of like, this is a good time to go take a walk and have that
definitely.
advocate in your world.
Yeah, so there's no pressure. We don't create any kind of pressure for the participant to have to complete. Obviously we have our goals and objectives for every single person. We know everything about them. We're a HIPAA compliant facility. We're not a lockdown facility. It's not like that. We're open to the public. So it's very engaging. Our center, we use a lot of refractive lighting. So there's a calming effect and calming music as soon as they walk in the door. We're all trained in what's called nurtured heart approach, meaning
Tell me
that,
about that.
yeah, the nurtured heart approach, it's much more less directive and on top, like, oh, what's going on with you today? It's not that. It's
Right.
more like, I can see that you might be struggling. Why don't we try this? It's just and
Wow.
it's a
Can you imagine if we were in a boardroom, which many of us are, and we actually used a little bit of that for all people, for everyone, right? For all the people we touch in our worlds,
Mhm,
there's a less aggressiveness,
mhm.
right? And I like that nurture approach in leadership.
Yeah, and I
I'm
use it a lot.
surprised.
I use it a lot with the staff because it gets very busy and it can get stressful. And I'm like, okay, how can I help you? What can I do How can we make this process more functional and effective so that you're not stressed out? Because that relates to the clients and the participants. So we want to make sure we hold our staff during those difficult times to say, okay, everyone has a personal life, everyone has family, everyone has drama, trauma. This is the journey of our lives, right? So we can't just assume that everyone is okay all the time. And it's okay not to be.
What has surprised you in this journey of building Marble Jam?
I think my own resilience is the most, the biggest surprise because and how that through resilience you're open to change and you know there's just no room for ego in this type of work or in life for that matter. It really is about giving, and I give a lot of myself to anybody that my door. I have an open door policy here, so everyone knows they can knock. It's like, hey, do you have a second? Sure, come on in. Set the other stuff aside. Sometimes I'm here till 11 o'clock at night because my door will be knocking all day. But I realize that I think that's why we have so many staff members that are sticking around. Nobody's getting rich in a nonprofit organization. It's not, it's yes, we're a successful nonprofit, but in this field, it really is a field about where there's a mission led, purposeful way of working. People are happy here because they know they're making a difference.
So let me ask you this. What tip or piece of advice you would pass forward for other women leaders, other people who are at various stages of their journey, if they're starting something up, if they have a challenge, as we all have in building, scaling, leading, whether it be from all sides of our life. What is something that you would share forward for them?
I would say for sure resilience and flexibility. That doesn't mean to say that your idea is not, fantastic. Like we all can be very short sighted about how we want to do something. There are others that have done it and been successful. So surround yourself with people that know more than you and be the inspiration for them to want to contribute. And that requires a little, you know what, I'm going to take a look at that approach. I'm going to take a look at that. I want to meet that person that you want to introduce me to, whether there's someone that I could use in the moment, or perhaps they'll know someone down the road that can connect, the networking piece. I would never assume that any moment is a waste of time when it comes to meeting others and connecting for a cause.
I think that's so true, to be open and to be listening and to be giving in that way. And there's so much we could talk about Marble Jam and for the impact of the arts with all communities, especially special needs communities, and the importance of embracing it and the collaboration of bringing all forms together for everybody to grow, which is a beautiful gift, Anna, that you have done. So thank you for that.
Thank you. It is really exciting when a participant will come in and they don't really know what they want to do, but we sort of have we have so much to offer them, whether it's digital design or art or music, or we have bands, we have so much, and also private. We also have private therapy here. And I think that being able to have this menu, so to speak, of the arts truly makes a difference because maybe one thing may not work for them. It's like, you know what? Let's try music instead. Or have you wanted to learn a musical instrument? We have an adaptive way of you learning. Or maybe it's digital. Maybe you want to be a composer. We'll bring you into GarageBand and teach you how to compose your own music and poetry. So it really is about, I would say, designing the right program for the individual and having that menu of options is really, really key. Also, just the center itself is a real neutral ground, it doesn't look like a school. There are lots of different studios from A through F with different needs: media studio, and art studio, music studio. the movement studio. So I think in that way, that model is working for this team.
Oh, I love that. And Anna, thank you for joining me here today on her success
So
story.
this was just great for me too. And if anybody has any questions that they'd like to ask me, feel free to send me an email. Maybe you can provide that for
Yes. So,
everyone.
what we do here at this point is you can find all of Anna's information, including more about her background, down in the show notes. Feel free to reach out. I will always say, listeners, when you are curious, all of our guests are always so generous with their hearts and minds, and reach out to them, ask questions, ask resources. Let's all grow together as a community. I say, as we close the show, take a deep breath in and think about the conversation that Anna and I enjoyed today. And what is your number one takeaway? Jot that down somewhere and think about the one action you can take forward that will make an impact on your career, your business, your life, and then implement it. Then, of course, let myself and Anna know what you did. Come on, people. It's great. That's the accountability piece and the share with your success piece, which is the best. And that's part of the community of the world of Her Success and Slater Success. So thank you again, Anna. Thanks for joining me here today on Her Success
Thank
Story.
you. Thank you again so much. Have a beautiful day, everyone.
And listeners, we will see you next time. If you enjoyed this, if you know there's somebody in your world that this would be helpful for, please pass this show forward and make that impact by giving them a resource to listen as well. See you next time.